Это видео. Я тебя ненавижу.
You know, iPhone and iPad are some of the most powerful tools ever created.
Я снимаю влог наконец-то. С разговорной части. Я уже
Нет мака поблизости.
пойдем в центр, в маг есть пирожок.
Хорошо.
Смотри, как там красиво.
There's no opposing thing to do. Can you feel the love in the air tonight? No copyright. You could be my Jasmine and we could see the stars alight. I was never picky, but now I gotta type and I'm catching feelings like air to a flying kite. Despite a lack of trying, I'm surprised you seem to follow me too. I try hard to be calm and act cool. You act like our friendship was past due, and I'm hoping to pass that like track 2. You're a princess in a palace, and through the looking glass I could see we're moving fast. But even so, I couldn't see myself to pass you. Like I know that I be walking that tightrope. The way I'm trying to flow to you, I'm scared that I might choke. The right note could change your tune or be off key, and sorry me, I could be dashing.
Какой твой любимый тип конфет? Скажи, это не охота, это как будто попал.
Вот это единственное место в Москве, где я вообще нашел что-то новое. Это эрлате. Черный кофе, в который добавляется ваниль, заваривается на сливках и азоте.
Я разговариваю с птицами.
На дельфине.
Они меня не слышат.
Что ты делаешь? Блин. Really trying to post more often, but then 2 weeks passed by and I realized that I still haven't posted anything. And I had a look at my notebook where I note down the ideas for my filming for this channel, because not much is happening right now. I am volunteer working for 2 companies. They're both to do with animals and stuff, so it's quite exciting, but I'm not a full-on employee. Still very uncertain stuff. I'm just living life, and as I graduated, I want to talk to you about my favorite thing that I've taken from my education in university. I was watching Jimmy Kimmel Live, asking kids on the streets what was the smartest thing they knew.
What is the smartest thing you guys know?
Everything. Houses, tables, people, even my mom.
Then I started asking my friends what the smartest thing they knew was. When you're an adult, you start asking questions like, what do you mean by smartest thing? But that's for you to interpret. So first of all, I want to know what you believe is the smartest thing you know. The smartest thing I know, I believe, is that I understand the very basics of the ins and outs in evolution. After 3 years at university and most of my courses having to do with evolution, taxonomy, genetics, I've realized how fascinating this science is, and evolution is one of my passions and something I can read about or talk about for hours and hours on. And what I'll be talking about, it's very basic actually. It's my take on evolution. So I think I'll be breaking some beliefs in evolution, and one of them is that we are on the top of the evolutionary tree. We are not on the top of the evolutionary tree. It's not even an evolutionary tree. It's more like a bush. And I think I'll be coming back to the bush later on. There is a reason to why every living organism has a certain body part, function, characteristic, or behavior, and that reason is evolution. Evolution is the cause of everything, and that's so cool to comprehend. The bush. No other organism is more or less developed than we are. We might have larger brains than other organisms, for example, but we are not adapted to living under seas, escaping sea predators. Every organism in its evolutionary niche is currently at its maximal evolutionary level, and I think that humans right now are currently the least developed organisms out of all of the living beings in the world, which might seem comical, but our bodies, they're not really adapted to the modern lifestyles with food being provided to us and the ease of acquiring sugar, the lack of sports and stuff. That's why we get all the diseases such as diabetes and heart problems, osteoporosis, because our bodies have been fine-tuned by 6 million years of evolution, and they have not been adapted to us sitting in front of cameras and talking to them. We were made for running and hunting and looking for meat. Right now, our evolutionary niche does not really suit us, so our bodies are not made for where we live. If there is a top and a bottom of the evolutionary bush, we're probably least developed than any other organism that has been going through the same time of evolution as we have. Some people might think that evolution is linear. That is also quite frustrating. Some people ask me, how did a fish decide to become a frog? And it didn't. We evolved from chimpanzees. Why are they still alive? When somebody says evolution, lots of people think about this image. And this is not how evolution works. Let's quickly fix it. We didn't evolve from chimpanzees or gorillas or bonobos. We evolved from a last common ancestor with them. We are just another species of great apes, just like chimpanzees. So they're no different from us in terms of their phylogenetic standpoint. How did a chimpanzee choose to become human? Nobody chose anything. It's selection. Selection is harsh. Selection is cruel. If you don't fit a niche, you die. If you don't have an evolutionary adaptation that's going to help you survive, you die. We humans, due to the agricultural and the industrial revolutions, we don't even think about surviving, and that's quite nice because we can use our brains for other things, like coming up with medicine. And that's another very interesting theory that I've talked to my lecturer about. Medicine and all the technological advancements in our world, they are preventing selection. If a person used to die from the common flu, that used to be a selective pressure. A few million years ago, if you died of a certain disease and another individual from your species didn't die from that disease, he was selected for by evolution. In our modern world, if you get a disease and you are treated from it, even though it's lethal, if you don't get treated from it, you still remain in the population. You can have offspring and you pass on the sick genes to your children. So our current gene pool of our species is really against evolution, especially with the aid of medicine. We are preventing people from dying. We are making our species weaker. I'm not saying that people should be dying, but I'm just saying that we are actively fighting evolution or selection. We're still evolving. We're very much evolving, but we're fighting some of the selection. I should be careful with what I say. But let's go back to the evolutionary bush I've been talking about. There are always new ecological niches popping up, and an ecological niche is characterized by a lot of variables such as the type of food you eat, altitude you live at, whether you prefer to live in as a species. There are really many factors that constitute an evolutionary niche. Every time a new organism is born, it has new mutations in its body. Most of the mutations are neutral and some of them are beneficial. And if an organism has a beneficial mutation, it will help it survive. So most of the mutations, they happen randomly. That is the classical belief. It's very much debated right now, but let's say that they happen randomly. If a new organism, when born, has this mutation, it can change the way it looks, the way it behaves. If it survives, it's gonna have better adapted babies, and it's either gonna make a stronger population or a completely new species. Let's take an example. I believe it's gonna make more sense then. Have you ever thought why European vipers, they have the zigzag line? So I'm gonna use all my drawing skills to show you these two snakes. And let's say they've lived 100 million years ago. This is a male and this is a female, and they pretty much look the same. These two snakes, they have a problem. Their offspring is very often eaten by birds. As they're snakes, they can't really do much about it, and they carry on with their lives, and when they grow older, they have babies. Thanks to the magic of genetics, once in a while a beneficial mutation appears, and look what just happened. This new baby, it has a little patch in its back that looks like a zigzag. It's a random mutation. This line, this tiny zigzag, helps this juvenile specimen to survive. And while some of the siblings have been eaten by birds because birds can find them, this baby with this slight zigzag pattern has an advantage. This pattern helps it hide in grass. And that's how our protagonist grew old without being eaten. And when it grows old, the snake has offspring too. And look, some of the offspring of our protagonist with the tiny zigzag, they also have zigzags on their backs, which helps them survive. Some of the offspring, like this one, are even luckier. Let's call him Jack. Jack, he has amplified the parental pattern, the parental mutation, and he has an even better way to hide from the birds that want to eat it. Let's say this happens many generations down the road. The differently colored snakes, like the plain ones and the zigzag ones, they either go extinct or undergo speciation. And the snakes with the zigzags on their backs, they become a different species from the plain snakes. The pale snakes are too different genetically from the zigzag ones to make viable offspring. That's why the original pale snakes only breed with other pale snakes, and zigzags have become vipera bearers, or just any of the zigzag vipera. I wanted to make this video for a super long time actually, but I could never get myself to doing it because I thought I'd need to do a lot of research. I'm not really looking for excuses on making videos. I promise I make them as often as I can. I make videos about what's interesting to me. Soon I'll be traveling to a place, and there is obviously going to be a video about that. I'll have more stuff up soon, I promise. I feel like I say that in every video.